What is the current coaching model in the poker world, and why doesn't it work?
So the way poker players see coaching right now in general is that they apply the idea of the model that results equal ability in coaching, even though those two do not correlate. They don't correlate in any other sport or any other mental game that you could think of. You could think of sports like basketball, football, baseball, or mental games like chess. Your ability to be great on an individual level does not translate to coaching. All it says is that I was great at getting myself to the highest level possible. But that means I was able to understand myself uniquely and what works for me to be able to get there. The same thing applies in coaching in poker. It's not about how great this individual player is at getting the results. What you're looking for, what you should look for, is how can this person help me get the best out of me?
Yeah, because we all have different ways of processing information. We have different gifts, we have different abilities, we have different beliefs that are holding us back. So a great coach is going to be somebody who can give an individual specific attention that he needs to understand what's holding him back, what things he's doing great, and knows how to get the best out of a specific individual.
A great coach is someone who's able to flow with you and your unique abilities, your unique flaws, your unique things that make you you. That's what makes a great coach a great coach. It's not how much he knows about the game. That just makes him a great player, if he's able to apply it. And as we know, there's a lot of players that might be great in terms of knowledge, but in terms of application, they also fall short.
Or a great analyst.
Exactly. So it's all individual talents that is specific for each role. And in terms of coaching, what you want is someone who's able to understand you on a deeper level, understand your gifts, understand your flaws, and then help you find the best in yourself. Number two, in terms of the current coaching system, is everybody learns the same thing, more or less. There's like a one-size-fits-all, as you spoke into, that is out there, whether it's GTO or whatever approach you get from, let's say, a website. Regardless of how many different ways they have to deliver that model, they're ultimately delivering the same thing to you and hundreds of thousands of other players that are there studying it. So then the question becomes, how does that give you a personal edge? Is your edge then becomes over those that aren't studying the same thing you're studying, or aren't as good at studying the same model as you are?
Or who puts in more hours?
Yes. And then it goes to how well are you able to apply it? So then it becomes, is the edge then to those that are able to apply it the best? And the last thing that it doesn't account for, which is the biggest reason why it doesn't work, is because it doesn't account for the human factor, which is the biggest factor. You're not playing against robots or machines. You're playing against people that are ultimately going to react based on how they feel in that moment. And the way they feel in that moment is going to be different from time, situation, how they specifically just experiencing themselves in that time. So ultimately, if it doesn't account for that, then it's a system that's going to create much more failure than success for most, which is what we're seeing, that people that are doing studying, a lot of studying, are not able to apply it or not able to translate it to tangible results.
We talked about this, how the current coaching model of poker is basically the same as like the American model of schooling.
Yeah, so American model of school education is, we're going to teach you a bunch of information, a bunch of knowledge. Some of it might be applicable in life, most of it isn't. And then you have to figure out, how do I apply it in my life? So one, it asks you to be good at something that you might not be good at. You might not be good at learning information. And it ultimately is likely not useful to you, because if you're not good at learning information and retaining it, that's your mind telling you that this is not your strength. This is not what works for you. And ultimately, this is not what's going to help you in life. And that's the issue, is that this is how poker is being taught widely right now. It's that one size fits all, when that size does not fit most. And even if it fits you in some way, the application of it does not work for you. So which is why so few are able to apply it in a way that's effective. Just like American educational system.
Who are we at Poker with a Purpose? What do we offer? And how are we different from the current coaching models that are out there? We offer three things basically at Poker with a Purpose. Number one is the mental and emotional resilience, which is the foundation for anyone that wants to play at the highest level. Number two, we offer coaching to allow you to be the best at whatever form of poker that you're playing. That's strategy. And then number three, we do behavioral analysis and connection coaching. So we've developed a system over the last 10 years that allows us to connect with players in the moment, in the game, any form of poker that you're playing. And it allows us to know on a deeper level how that player feels about his hand and what he wants us to do so that we can act accordingly based on what that moment calls for, not just some random GTO or sometimes we do this, sometimes we do that. It's a very specific method of connecting and figuring out what to do in the moment. Our biggest foundation is the mental and emotional resilience training. So talk about that, Sasha.
So first and foremost, what we do is breakthrough. Breakthrough session is a 2-day session, and the purpose of it is simple. On day one, we find limiting beliefs and stories and emotions that come with those limiting beliefs that hold you in place or keep you stagnant in terms of what you're able to do at a poker table and in life. And it's a process where we, through you going deep within, identify what is ultimately the belief that holds everything else in place. And by everything else is this inability to get out of the box, to get out and go deeper and to create results for yourself in life and a poker that you want to. So once we identify the greater problem, we're able to release it on day two through a process called mental and emotional release technique, which is a scientific method that's been proven to be incredibly effective and has been around for over 50 years. And once we release the greater problem and accompanying emotions that come with it, then you're able to operate from a clean blank slate to create the reality going forward that you wanted and always envisioned for yourself. So Dave, tell me how it worked for you, what has changed for you after you did your breakthrough.
What I discovered was there was a belief deep down that I didn't even know was there, that I was a loser. And so what would happen poker-wise was I'd go to play thinking I'm a great player, knowing how much I know about poker, studying, doing all the work off the table, and then I would show up, and what would happen is either a person or a hand or a situation at the table would trigger the belief underneath, and that would cause me to either fight for pots that I didn't need to be fighting for when players had good hands, or shying away from fighting for pots when I was supposed to fight for pots, playing it safe. So the belief would get triggered by certain things at the table, and then it would bring up all these emotions that were totally irrelevant to the hand playing out. They were just emotions that were stored in me underneath. And then those emotions would end up playing poker for me. So I would go to play and I'd go like feeling good about myself, grounded, I'd do my routine and everything. And then one small little thing would trigger the belief and trigger the emotions, and then I would just go off the rails. If you've seen our earlier video on Rampage, if you haven't, go watch the Rampage video. We talk about this in detail about the difference between when we are playing consciously and when an underlying belief gets triggered and you are just making plays at the table that's inexplicable, like just punting, and the plays themselves look inexplicable because it's not based on any strategy. It's just a complete emotional decision in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So once we clear that out, then you're able to operate from a brand new perspective that I don't need to be attached to some kind of belief about myself that ultimately doesn't work for me, because the new reality is I'm none of those things, that negative beliefs or beliefs that didn't work for me. I'm actually somebody who can create whatever I want to, whatever I choose to, and get whatever results I want in poker and in life. So then the next step after that, which is what we go to in terms of building a mental and emotional resiliency, is now creating your foundation of who am I now, which is what are my ways of being that are now in alignment with who I am. What ways of being, saying like, I am patience, I am presence, I am these things that are now in alignment with me. So now your unconscious knows exactly who you are and it enforces this as reality for you going forward. Then we help you create the ways of actions, or what are you doing to confirm your ways of being of who am I? And only through that, you creating the SMART goals for yourself, which are very specific and action based, and with specific results that you're choosing for yourself in the future, which now your unconscious mind says, yep, that's the goal I'm going to get. So now you're creating the brand new reality from this new place that is in alignment with who you are, and there's nothing in the way of it from you getting it and obtaining it. And the last step is we help you come up with it, but ultimately it's going to be on you, because each person is an individual and the way they react to it is individually based, is come up with habits that work for you. Habits that work in directly supporting these ways of being, ways of doing, and your goals that now you're in alignment with. So we help you create the infrastructure that results in you being and you having mental and emotional resiliency in poker as well as in life.
Yeah, so your beliefs, your identity, your emotions, your habits, everything is supporting the vision that you're looking to create. And so we're removing everything that doesn't support that, and then we're recreating the identity around where you want to go, so that then the poker coaching, behavioral coaching, and everything can be received and applied properly at the table without emotions and beliefs getting in the way.
Absolutely. And what ultimately makes us so unique is that, as you see from our description, is that it's very individually based. There is no one size fits all, because it's impossible, because you're not like the next person and the next person is not like you. So there's no way to apply just like one shoe to everyone and help. And which is why what we do is we help you fulfill your potential that's always been there, that's just been covered up by a bunch of clutter. And we don't only help you remove the clutter, we help you create the foundation that you create for yourself. We just give you some guidance and tools to allow you to find your inner you that works for you, and with it create the goals that are ultimately empower you and your vision for life. So ultimately, what makes us so unique and different from every other coaching website or poker coach out there is we don't try to mold you into anyone else. We're not going to try to make you into a version of me or Dave or any other player out there, because ultimately what makes you special, unique, is exactly what's going to make you a special, unique poker player. What we help you do is release the things that are in the way of you becoming the best version of yourself as a person and as a player. And from there, you could operate in a way and create reality, possibility that right now might not even feel legitimate or real.
The number one thing to create the vision that you want for yourself is that all parts of you are aligned and moving in the same direction. So the thing that we offer is getting all those parts of you on the same page, and it's not about making those parts of you play like us or anything like that. It's about just seeing which parts of you are going in which directions and getting them all aligned and going on the same page. And that's kind of non-poker related stuff, and then we do the poker stuff on top of that.
Yep.
Subscribe to my channel.